Hello, it's Concord Wind. I was supposed to go to the store yesterday with my sister, but I texted her too late to ask her if she could take me to the store. She already went to the store she was at the store for like 2 hours with my mom and dad after she got off work. And by the time I texted her, she's like, "Oh man, like I'm stored out. I've been at the store for 2 hours. So like she didn't want to take me, but she did take me to the gym. She's like, I can take you to the gym, and so I got to go to the gym, and that was fun. I got to watch a new show I've been watching lately. It's called Saga of Tanya the Evil. It's an anime, and I'm also excited about the fact that I upgraded my Crunchyroll subscription to Ultimate Fan, and I also got a Shonen Jump subscription. And I also renewed, I got gifted a tier 1 subscription to Fallen Shadow, also known as Shondo, on Twitch, who's a VTuber that I really like. And that subscription was about to expire. So I tried to renew it and I couldn't renew it unless I canceled the current one. And I was like, well, when it expires on the 15th, I won't have any money to renew it, so I'll just go ahead and cancel it and renew it now. And I renewed it for 3 months, and I'm excited about that. So that's really cool. And basically, the Ultimate Fan on Crunchyroll that gives me the biggest thing. The reason why I got that um, is because it gives me access to offline videos. Like it lets me download anime episodes and watch them offline, which is super convenient because sometimes my Wi-Fi isn't the best, sometimes my data isn't the best, sometimes the Wi-Fi at the gym isn't the best. And just streaming the shows, causes problems and so yeah, being able to download episodes and watch them offline will be super awesome. And then I got the Shonen Jump subscription because the Crunchyroll manga doesn't have a very very big, you know, um, variety of manga. There's a limited selection, and the manga that I want to read the most that I've been reading is Black Clover, of course. Black Clover. Um, and yeah, they don't have like the newest chapters. They only have up to like 100 chapters or so. There's like I don't even know. I think there's like 500 chapters or something crazy like that. And they don't have all that, but Shonen Jump's got it all. So I was like, well, and Shonen Jump's only like $2.99 a month for like unlimited access to all the manga on their app, which is really cool. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. And then Shondo, the reason why I renewed my subscription to her is because when you're subscribed to her Twitch, when she streams movies on Discord and gives her commentary to the movies, when you're subscribed, you get to watch along. You get to join the call on Discord and watch movies with her and enjoy her commentary. And her commentary is hilarious. She can make like any movie funny, And I watched The Howler yesterday with Shondo and like 186 other people, and it was funny. Shondo was really funny. It wasn't a funny movie. It was a creepy movie, but her commentary is so hilarious that like, and her laugh is she's got a great laugh. She's got a great laugh. So, um, yeah, I'm just like super blessed by God, you know, and and it's like these blessings are so so modern, and these blessings like are like really good blessings, but at the same time it's like these blessings, these apps and stuff that I'm subscribed to, then I'm getting to enjoy, you know there's usually not a lot of talk of God on these things. I mean, the Saga of Tanya the Evil talks of God, but they kind of portray him um, based off the interpretation of the God of the Old Testament of the Bible. So, um, a lot of interpretations of God of the Old Testament of the Bible is that he's cruel, and that's just a common interpretation. Um, that's not the case, but that is a common interpretation. A lot of people believe God didn't become nice until Jesus, and yeah, so it's really interesting. And going off on a little side tangent here, what's interesting is I hear a lot of people say, it's impossible for us to follow the Ten Commandments, and that's why Jesus had to die on the cross for our sins. Is it really impossible to follow the Ten Commandments? Is it really? I mean, like, do not murder, do not steal. That it's impossible not to do those things. Like, that's so easy. I think the Ten Commandments are super easy to follow. You know, don't commit adulteries. Don't cheat on your wife. That's easy. If you love your wife, that's easy. If you love God, that's easy. Because when you love God, you respect people, and when you respect people, you respect your wife, and when you respect your wife, you don't cheat on her. Don't covet your neighbor's wife. That's easy. I mean, just see women as people, not sex objects. Just understand women for what they are. They're creatures created by God, and then you won't look at them as sex objects. And when you encounter women, you'll talk to like, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. Oh, that's good. I like your jacket. Oh, I like your jacket too. Oh, thank you. All right. Well, I hope you have a good day. You too. All right. Bye. Whatever. That's it. And you don't talk to that person ever again. Probably you'll never see them again. And you didn't have to ask for their number. You didn't have to, like make a move on them or whatever. It's just normal. And you didn't even have to compliment their jacket or they. But I mean, you could have just said thank you when they complimented your jacket. Like, and the reason why I'm saying that is because there was a woman outside that complimented my Snuggie, but she called it a jacket. But I liked her jacket, so I was like, well, I like your jacket. And she was actually an older woman, and even if I looked at women as sex objects, I wouldn't be interested in her. But I don't look at women as sex objects at all. I see women as people, as human beings, and I've got a sister, I've got a daughter. I just women women are humans, and women have been corrupted by Satan, just like men have been corrupted by Satan, and women need salvation, just like men need salvation. Women must practice the truth and worship God, just like men must practice the truth and worship God. Women aren't that much different from men. Women just have some different body parts, and different chromosomes, and, but women still can see and hear and talk and hear and understand. And I think I said hear twice, but anyways, they can understand. And, some women can understand the truth. You know, God gave us a heart to understand. And I love that. That's actually in God's words. God says He gave man a heart to understand, and I think that's so beautiful. Your heart, your metaphorical heart, not your beating, bloody heart, but your metaphorical heart, the heart that loves. That heart is also meant for understanding, and I think that's so beautiful. If you think about it, it's like my heart is given to me so I can understand. And people who don't understand anything are heartless. If you use logic to make that conclusion, I think that is a correct conclusion. I think people who don't understand any of the truth of God's words, are heartless. Not really much else to say on that. Anyways, I was also able me and my mom figured out how I can actually pay money for YouTube Premium, because I've been getting YouTube Premium for free. And it's really weighed heavy on my conscience, because here, this is a service. It's a premium service that people have to pay for. And because of an error in the system, I'm getting it for free. And, I knew that I was getting it for free. And if I continued to receive this service knowing that I was getting it for free, even though I got a receipt, like I was being charged, and it showed that I was charged, and I got a receipt and everything, if I continued to receive this service and use this service knowing that I wasn't being properly charged, that would be a sin. That would be stealing. And so we figured it out, how, I can get charged for YouTube Premium. And basically how we worked it out is I just got my mom's debit card information and put that in the system, and then Venmo'd my mom the money. And I was able to work this out for Google Ads as well. So I was able to pay my Google Ads account off that I've been overdue since October. So that's really cool. And so I was able to run an ad on my last video. I don't know if you've noticed, but my last video has a lot of views. It doesn't have a lot of likes, which is disappointing. The like to view ratio isn't looking good, but maybe it'll get more likes over time. But there's one video on my channel that I didn't even run ads on, and it's got like 99 views and 7 likes, that's a really good ratio of likes to views. It's not the best ratio, obviously it's not. Like a more ideal ratio would be like 20 likes to 99 views or whatever. That would be better. But it's got 7 likes, and 7 likes is a lot for me. I am really thankful I got those likes, because when people engage with my videos, that shows me that something I've said or something I've read out loud, in the video, or touch somebody's heart. And the views are just like exposure and I don't know anything about a person's perception based on based on them viewing a video. So I can't really gauge the influence or the impact of a video based off views, but I can gauge the influence of a video based on likes. So if you've watched this far, you know, and if anything I've said so far has been clear and comprehensive, and if I don't sound like somebody with schizophrenia, because I have schizophrenia, but like if I sound like a normal person and I sound like I have some understanding of things, then give the video a like, to show me that you're engaged and you have been listening and that you are ready to hear more. And if you want to wait until I read God's words to give the video a like, that's fine too. We're going to be reading in my devotional I did today. It's in the same chapter I've been reading in the past couple of videos, God and man will enter into rest together. In volume 1 of The Word Appears in the Flesh. Going to be reading in this today, this morning. I went to bed last night at like 7 p.m. and woke up at about 5 this morning. It's currently 5:31, so I've been up for about 40 minutes because it was more like 4:50 when I got up, and I was worried because when I woke up, like I got up and hit my vape and drank some lemon water. And then went back to bed, and I was having trouble going back to sleep, and I was just thinking it's probably midnight. I'm probably gonna have to stay awake, for a while before I can go back to sleep again. Because I do that sometimes, where like I'll wake up at midnight and then I'll have to stay up until like 3 or 4 in the morning before I can go back to sleep again. And I thought, well, I've got my alarm set for 12. So it should be fine, right? Even if I don't get like the amount of sleep that I normally get, like I'll still get up at 12, right? Anyways, let's read God's words. I'm excited because these words are really good. All of God's words are really good, but I'm excited because I'm under the influence of caffeine, and that helps me share my understanding of God's words better. So let's do this. Before humanity enters into rest, whether each sort of person is punished or rewarded will be determined according whether they have sought the truth, whether they know God, and whether they can submit to the visible God. Submission to the visible God, the only way that can be put into practice is submission to the words of God. So the words we read on this channel, submission to those words. And how do you submit to those words? It means you accept these words as the truth, you obey these words, you practice these words, you let these words become your life, and you let these words become the way you view yourself, view your family, view your friends, view people of the world, and everything, government, demons, angels, supernatural phenomenon, practicality. I don't even know if that's a word, but practical events and actions, and because God is more practical in this age. He's not so much supernatural anymore. He mostly works through us through words. He mostly works in us through words. This is the age of word that we're living in, also known as the age of kingdom. Those who have rendered service to the visible God, yet neither know him nor submit to him, lack truth. If you don't know God after reading volume 2 of The Word Appears in the Flesh, then that's kind of strange. I don't know how you couldn't know God after reading volume 2 of The Word Appears in the Flesh. So make sure you read that. Volume 2, that's your homework again. I've given this homework multiple times, but that's your homework. Read volume 2 of The Word Appears in the Flesh, because that's how you get to know God. And you know, to know God is to love God, because when you know Him, you love Him, because He is so righteous and so holy. He stands for justice. He stands for all positive things. He is the symbol of all positive things. Like, God is the ultimate symbol of positive things. So if you love positive things, then you'll love God. And when you get to know God, you learn He is so positive. And you may think you know God right now. You may think you know He's positive and a good thing. But until you read volume 2 of The Word Appears in the Flesh, I mean, you're just scratching the surface. I mean, I can't recommend that book enough. You know, if you want to see what it looks like, this is an old copy of it. The new prints of this book are brown, but this is an old print from 2022, I think. And it's a print, or maybe 2023, I can't remember, but it's a print that's blue. But this is what it used to look like. They're not, now volume 2 looks more like volume 1. It's brown, like volume 1. But volume 2 used to be blue. This is an old print where it was blue, but it's brown now. But it's available on the Church of Almighty God app. You can't really get a physical copy until you join the church. You don't have to join the church. You don't have to get a physical copy. You can just read it on the app. But if you want a physical copy and you want to join the church and do your duty for the church, you have to join the church, and you have to be part of the church for quite a while. They have to see that you're somebody who will take care of a physical copy of the books, because the physical copies are precious, you know. And so, you know, because these are God's words, and they're precious. And so, you know, they have to make sure you're somebody who will respect and take care of a physical copy, and somebody who can stay loyal to the end. Somebody who, even if you give up your belief, you'll return the copies to the church instead of selling them or throwing them away. Like I've gotten books of God's words from eBay, or one book. I don't know why I said books. I got one book of God's words from eBay. I'll show you that. This is a really old print of God's words. Very old print of God's words. They don't even print this anymore. But I got that off of eBay from somebody who thought they could make some money off of God's words from a book they got for free from the church, instead of doing what the church tells people to do, which is if you stop believing, return the book. Obviously, they stopped believing and they didn't return the book, so that's really tragic, but at least it fell into my hands. Somebody who believes and will take care of it. You know, and so, yeah. Those who have rendered service to the visible God, yet neither know Him nor submit to Him, lack truth. Such people are evildoers, and evildoers will undoubtedly be objects of punishment. Furthermore, they shall be punished according to their wicked conduct. God is for humans to believe in, and He is also worthy of their obedience. Those who only have faith in the vague and invisible God are people who do not believe in God and are unable to submit to God. If these people still cannot manage to believe in the visible God by the time His work of conquest is finished, and continue to be disobedient and resist the God who is visible in the flesh, then these vaguists will without a doubt become objects of destruction. It is just like some among you. Anyone who verbally recognizes God incarnate, yet cannot practice the truth of submission to God incarnate, are ultimately to be cast out and destroyed. Moreover, anyone who verbally recognizes the visible God, eating and drinking of the truth expressed by Him, while also seeking after the vague and invisible God, will certainly be the object of destruction. None of these people will be able to remain until the time of rest that will come after God's work is finished. Nor can a single individual similar to such people remain in that time of rest. Demonic people are those who do not practice the truth. Their essence is one of resistance and disobedience to God, and they do not have the slightest intention of submitting to Him. This is a very interesting line of God's words. Demonic people are those who do not practice the truth. Their essence is one of resistance and disobedience to God. Now, I've learned from these same words. I've learned from these words in another chapter, in another book of God's words. I've learned that I'm reincarnated from a devil or a demon or whatever you want to call it. I'm reincarnated from something evil. Me specifically, not you guys, just me specifically. Unless you have schizophrenia, then you're in the same boat as I am. If any of you have schizophrenia, you're in the same boat as I am. But schizophrenia is like a byproduct, or like, an indicator that someone has been reincarnated from a demon. Now, I may have been reincarnated from a demon, but I don't have a demonic essence. I'm able to practice the truth. I'm able to, submit to God, to the visible God, and practice the words of the visible God. I'm able to be practical, and I'm able to obey. I'm able to submit and obey to the visible God, which is unlike those with a demonic essence. I mean, there are people who are 100% human that have a demonic essence, and then there are people like me who are reincarnated from a demon and have a human essence. You can't always draw a conclusion about someone based off of their origins. There are good people that are reincarnated from demons. There are bad people that are reincarnated from demons. There are good people that are reincarnated from humans that have, a human origin. And there are good people that are reincarnated from humans with a human origin, But the point is that I'm a human now. I've chosen God now. I've been redeemed and saved by God now. That's what's important, not my past. Satan always wants to throw up people's past in their face and be like, well, you did this. Like, you're beyond redemption. You're beyond salvation. Satan always wants us to doubt ourselves because of our past instead of looking at our present. And because if we're stuck in the past and think we're too far gone because of our past, we won't practice the truth in the present. So it's just a distraction. Satan uses the past as a distraction to keep you from practicing the truth in the present. God cares about what you do in the present. And you can redeem yourself in the present by practicing the truth now and changing your disposition now. And by the way, your disposition will change if you practice the truth. So salvation is very much on the table. It's very much in the cards for everybody. Everybody draws salvation from their deck in their hand of cards. Like, you may not have the best hand in life. You may have been dealt a bad hand in life. But salvation is one of the cards in your hands, no matter who you are. And you can play that card at any time by practicing the truth and achieving dispositional change. Whether you have truth and whether you resist God depend on your essence, not on your appearance or how you might occasionally speak or conduct yourself. Whether or not an individual will be destroyed is determined by one's essence, is decided according to the essence revealed by one's behavior and one's pursuit of the truth. Among people who are the same as each other in that they are doing work and who do similar amounts of work, those whose human essences are good and who possess truth are the people who will be allowed to remain, while those whose human essences are evil and who disobey the visible God are those who will be objects of destruction. All of God's work or words related to humanity's destination will deal with people appropriately according to each individual's essence. Not the slightest error will occur and not a single mistake will be made. It is only when people do work that human emotion or meaning enters the mix. The work God does is most appropriate. He absolutely does not bring false claims against any creature. There are currently many people who are unable to perceive humanity's future destination and who do not believe the words I utter. All those who do not believe, as well as the ones who do not practice the truth, are demons. So if you don't believe... See, I'm reincarnated from a demon, but I believe in God's words and I practice God's words. So if you don't believe in God's words, if you don't believe in these words, and if you don't practice these words, you're more of a demon in essence than I am somebody reincarnated from a demon, you know, which is very profound, you know, because I'm reincarnated from a demon and I'm less of a demon than people who don't believe in God's words and don't practice the truth. So make sure you believe in these words and practice the truth. And I mean, you can't help it. Like if you can't practice these words, if you can't believe in these words, I don't know what to tell you. Because these words are God's words. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you can't see that they're God's words, I don't know how to make you see that they're God's words. You know, I really don't. I mean, it's a very tough situation to be in for sure. You know, just, I guess, try to join the church and tell them, you know, I have trouble believing in God's words. I have trouble practicing God's words, but I want to serve, you know, the church. I want to do my duty for the church, and I want to obey the church, and I want to obey God. And even though you could even say I have a hard time believing in God, but I still want to obey him, you know, because I think it's the right thing to do. If you have a conscience at all, then you'll have that attitude. I know there's a lot of people who work in the church that don't believe in God because they just believe it's the right thing to do. They have a conscience, you know, so yeah, you could do that. You know, there's always something for people to do. God, you know, God is super lenient. I mean, he on one hand, you know, he's very strict. On the other hand, he's very lenient. You know, he is, you know, his standards are not very high, but the standards he does have, you absolutely must meet. You know, and that's what I mean by strict and lenient, is that he's strict in that you must meet his standards. He's lenient in that his standards are not very high. You know, so salvation is very much on the table for everybody. You know, everybody has the opportunity for salvation. And sometimes you have to change your essence. You have to become somebody who believes in God's words and somebody who practices the truth. You have to change your essence. I know I had to change my essence, or God changed my essence, or whatever happened. I mean, obviously my human perception is limited, so I'm not sure how that all went down, but I'm pretty sure God changed my essence. And because my essence before was deceitful, And my essence was that of, worshiping marriage, worshiping women, and yeah, so my essence had to change, and it did. And I've talked about over and over how my essence changed, how my nature changed on this channel. I could talk about it again, I guess, but um, I don't want to give too much away for people who haven't been watching my videos. I want to encourage you to watch my other videos to find out how I changed my nature, or how God changed my nature, my essence. Um, because there's so much other angles of looking at the truth and understanding shared of the truth in my other videos that needs to be explored by people or viewed by people or whatever. Like, people need to watch my other videos. I think so. I'll keep you. I'll leave this on a cliffhanger. How did I go about changing my nature, or how did I cooperate with God so God could change my nature? How did that go? How did that happen? You'll have to start watching my videos, like going back and watching all my videos and you'll learn something from, even if you don't learn that specifically, how that happened, you'll learn something from each one of my videos. And there's several videos where I talk about how my nature changed. So you're bound to come across it eventually if you just keep watching my videos. So that's another homework assignment. Your homework assignments are: read volume 2, The Word Appears in the Flesh, and watch my other videos. Oh, and give this video a like, and give my other videos a like too. Show me that you are, that you're learning something. Give the video a like. So, yeah. All right. I guess that's it. So, thank you so much for watching. If you've watched up to this point, I have some doubt in my heart that anybody watched up to this point. But if you have watched up to this point, thank you so much. Really, you should thank God, and you should thank yourself that you're willing to pay attention to a video like this all the way to the end, because it is very beneficial to you. So be thankful. All right. God bless, and goodbye.